Get one. Yeah, get one for Teddy.
I will get
All right, okay.
Main reason for our town being here, anthracite coal, right? You guys from drums, you know, right? You've heard of this, you've seen this. This was the most valuable type of coal for the Industrial Revolution because it burns hotter and longer than any other kind. And that's what they needed for the machines to run. So in 1791, in a town about 8 miles away, Summit Hill, a guy is out hunting on the top of a mountain one afternoon and he trips over a black rock like this. And when he digs it up, he says, oh, this is the stuff that everybody's looking for, that they want this. So they figure it out, and like, how can they get the coal from Summit Hill, which is, again, on top of a mountain, to the only form of mass transportation in that era, which would be the Lehigh River right here behind us. How are we going to do this? Well, here comes two other guys, Josiah White and Erskine Hazard. And Josiah White is your water power guy. He figures out the Lehigh River. He says, all right, I know what kind of boats we need to build to float that coal. We need some canals. I'm going to design this thing. It was a bear trap lock that he patented, all to get the coal boats down. And then Erskine Hazard is your engineer guy. He figures it out. He looks at Mount Pisgah, which I'll point out to you on the other side of town, and he says, you know what? Mount Pisgah is higher in elevation than the mine is. If I can just figure out a way to drag some coal cars to the top of Mount Pisgah, I can use gravity to run them to the mines, have them filled up with coal, and then use gravity again to run them down here to the river. And that's exactly what he did. And he did so with a team of mules. So they pulled those cars up the mountain, then to the mine, then down here. Now, the mules, you could get more work a day out of them if they didn't have to walk back down. So they decided to put them on the coal cars too. How fast do you think the switchback, that's what they called it, the switchback railroad, first gravity run railroad, how fast do you think that thing went? You can just shout it out, and what do you think? 73. 73 miles an hour. So they put the mules on it, and the mules love it. They love it. Like, they refuse to walk after a while. They want to do this all the time. So then people take notice to it, and they say, you know, why should the mules have all the fun? Like, we want to get on. And they do, and it becomes America's first roller coaster. So it's pretty cool, yes. So the lookout for the Native American tribe in this area, the Lenni Lenapes, they would go up there and scout their hunting grounds. And that's actually how our town got our name, because when they were up there, they looked across the river, and they saw this mountain over here, and they said it looked like a sleeping bear. And that translates in their language to Mok Chunk. Mok Chunk is sleeping bear. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. So that's how we got our name. So Claire? And as far as the Lenni Lenapes calling this mountain Sleeping Bear, I'm a native. As we come around the corner, I'll point out the Asa Packer Mansion to you. It's right next door. The Asa Packer Mansion has the red roof with the American flags on it. That is open for tours. Asa Packer built that in 1861. There are 18 rooms in it, and it cost $14,000. How about that? It's on a cast iron frame made with local bricks. That's Asa Packer. Anybody taking that tour of the mansion? It's a heck of a walk up that hill, but it's definitely worth it if you can get there. It's all original furnishings inside, because when his daughter Mary died in 1912 as the last person of her immediate family, she left the house and everything in it to the town of Mok Chunk. So Asa Packer gets here 1833. He's a carpenter, so he's building those boats to get down the river, and then he makes enough money to buy into a coal mine, and then he starts buying up little pieces of railroads, puts them together to make the Lehigh Valley Railroad, and then after that, the Industrial Revolution, his coal is going everywhere, and he makes a ton of money, but he's very much a self-made man. When he dies in 1879, he is worth $54.5 million. Now in today's money, that's $1.6 billion. So the guy had some money, but he was also, essential to town, not only as a politician. He was a county judge. He was in the House of Representatives for both Pennsylvania and in Washington, D.C. He also was a co-founder and a vestryman at St. Mark's Church, which is up Ray Street, and is open for tours today, by the way. Original Tiffany windows in there, and lots of memorials to the Packer family, so definitely worth the tour up there too. So that's what happens to Asa Packer. And the memorial is right here to your left. Oh, pretty crowded today. His tombstone is the one in the middle, the big red one. So when Jim gets to the Olympics in Stockholm, Sweden, in 1912, he competes and wins gold medals in the pentathlon and the decathlon. He sets 9 world records, and they stand for 63 years. That's pretty incredible. So when he competes in the pentathlon, he wins 4 out of the 5 events. He wins the long jump, the 200 meter, the discus, and the 1500 meter. He comes in 3rd in the javelin because he doesn't know that you're allowed to take a running start and throw it. So he stands at the line and chucks it and still comes in 3rd place. So when he goes to the decathlon, he wins the 100 meter, the shot put, the high jump, the 110 meter hurdles, and the 1500 meter. So he goes to the podium to get his medals. They're hung around his neck by the King of Sweden, King Gustav, who tells him, "Sir, you are the greatest athlete in the world." To which Jim replies very simply, "Thanks, King." And that's it. No big speech, but there is his words are engraved on his tombstone, and under the tombstone there is dirt from Sweden and also dirt from his native Oklahoma. So he wins all these medals, but it was a difficult road to get there. Native Americans at this time are not considered citizens. So Jim's own Olympic teammates did not want him to travel with them, so he had to have separate accommodations. They did not want him staying in the Olympic Village with them, so he had to have separate accommodations. And when it came time for him to run the decathlon events, he goes to his locker to get ready, and someone has stolen his shoes. They're gone. They believe it was one of his own teammates, a guy named Avery Brundage, although that has never been proven, but Jim and Pop Warner go scrounging through the trash to see if they can find a pair of shoes. They find 2 separate shoes. One is way too big, the other one is way too small. So he jams the small one on his foot, puts several pairs of socks on his other foot, and puts the bigger shoe on, and he goes out there and he kicks butt in the decathlon anyway, wearing shoes that aren't even his and don't fit. So if you ever see a picture of Jim in his Olympic uniform with 2 different shoes on, that's why. But that's actually just the beginning of his troubles. He comes back, he's got all these medals, but 4 months after the Olympics, someone reports him to the Olympic Committee because he got paid $2 a game to play minor league baseball. And in those days, you needed to be an amateur athlete, unlike today where we have so many professional athletes. So they strip him of his medals and they give him to the next guy. Now, most college athletes in those days did play minor league baseball for pay, but they used aliases, and Jim used his real name, and that's how he got found out. So anyway, they strip him of his medals, they go to the next person, and then in around the 1970s, the AAU decides to try to get his medals back. So they go to Washington, D.C. to try to find the rules from 1912. They needed to have the rules to prove that you needed to protest within 30 days and not 4 months. And you all know Murphy's Law. If you want it, you can't find it, right? That's exactly what happened down there. They looked at every single book they could find, no rules for 1912. Took the last book off the shelf, 1 piece of paper stuck in the middle. There it was, the rules that said you had to protest within 30 days. So in 1982, they gave his medals back, but they listed him as the co-champion, along with the guy that they gave his medals to after they stripped him. It wasn't until 2022 that his medals were restored with him as the sole winner of those Olympics. So he was hoping he would be able to see that during his lifetime. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. But just to give you an idea of what a superior athlete he was, not only did he play minor league baseball, he played professional baseball, he played professional football, and I'm just going to go with this here. He played for the New York Giants. If you're a Giants fan, just keep that on the down low, because in addition to baseball and football, he was also a professional lacrosse player, played basketball professionally, was a scratch golfer. He was the first president of the NFL. That was before they called them commissioners. He's the only guy in the Football Hall of Fame to have a full statue. Everyone else just has, a bust from the shoulders up. And are you ready for this? He was even a champion ballroom dancer. Wow. So yeah, not many people know that. Yep. So he had it all going on. But unfortunately, I'm just getting to that. Thank you. So yeah, his athletic career was over by the time he was about 41. And he was married 3 times and had 8 children. And after that, somebody found him behind Paramount in Los Angeles digging ditches. And they said, Jim, what are you doing digging ditches? And that's what he said. I have 3 wives and 8 kids. Why do you think I'm digging ditches? I need a job. So they brought him over to Paramount and they started casting him in Hollywood movies. He was cast in over 70 Hollywood movies. Don't know if you knew that. Mostly playing extras as Native American parts. So if you are ever scrolling through Turner Classic Movies late at night and you see a guy that you think looks like Jim Thorpe, guess what? It's Jim Thorpe. So over here at this exhibit, we have a lightning bolt in the middle. And you might be asking, okay, what's up with that? So Jim's Native American name is Watho Huck. And that translates to bright path across the sky, which is a lightning bolt. You got it. So currently, there is a documentary out on the History Channel. It came out on July 7th. It's called Lit by Lightning, and it was produced by LeBron James. So check it out. It's really good. There was a movie made about him in the 50s starring Burt Lancaster, and Jim actually had a part in that movie too. And Angelina Jolie is going to be putting together a movie about him. It's going to have lightning in the title. I don't know if it's a streaming type of movie or if it's going to be in theaters, but allegedly it's in pre-production, so definitely look for that. So you can see Jim had a pretty prolific career, and as far as his burial place, well, I think his wife was pretty happy with it. I think he did a pretty good job. All right, about halfway down the hill, I'm going to point out Mount Pisgah to you, where all of those mules drag the coal cars to the top. So we'll come around the corner heading to Lehigh Gorge State Park. Again, you can have a great view of Mount Pisgah there. So around the turn of the century, over 500,000 people came to Mauch Chunk just to ride the switchback. It was a tourist attraction for them, and we were second only to what other destination in the United States? What was number 1 if we were number 2? Anybody? Grand Canyon. Not the Grand Canyon, good guess.
Big waterfall.
Yeah, big water. Niagara Falls. Yes, you got it, Niagara Falls. So all these people come here to ride. We had some very famous people come also that wanted to ride, but one person that took one look at the switchback and said, no, I don't think so, was Thomas Edison. He would not get on. So we're going to come into the Lehigh Gorge longer, though. They did gate it off. It's quite hard to navigate inside, and things have started falling from the ceiling, so it makes it a little difficult and dangerous, so it's been gated off for a few years. And then as we come around, I'll point out the Lehigh River to you. So if you are a fisherman, all kinds of trout and bass and muskies. If you are someone who likes whitewater rafting, there's a little beach over here. That's what they call it. That's where the rafting companies will pull you out. You may see some people down there, waist high in the river or putting chairs in there. And then I'll show you where the turnhole tunnel comes out as well. Unfortunately, we're not allowed to stop on the bridge, but you will get a great view of the turnhole tunnel on our way out as well. So you can see the rafts, you can see the trestle where the trains would have run across, and the tunnel comes out right there behind that tree. You will get a great view of it on the way. So this is where the Molly Maguires were held before their trials. This is where they were hanged on June 21st, 1877, the day of the rope. Cell 17, if you haven't taken the tour, is where one of the Mollies put his hand on the dirt in the floor of the cell and then placed it on the wall and said, "My handprint will stay here forever as proof of my innocence." And they have painted over it, they have plastered over it, they have chipped it out of the wall. They have Wilkes University come in and do gas chromatography studies on it. They say it's there and they say it's real. So if you do take the tour though, don't go in the basement behind the furnace. Go and see the solitary cells, just don't go behind the furnace. Whatever lives back there does not like people, okay? You would know. So we pull over here for just a minute. We are going to show you this little stream over here, which doesn't look like much, but was anybody in town yesterday when it was pouring buckets?
Yes.
Yes. So this little stream right here dives underground by that white fence, and it crisscrosses under many homes under Broadway, goes back and forth, and then empties out into the Lehigh River. And so this little stream right here, if you saw yesterday downtown, this little stream would flood regularly. And where we were down by the inn, it would be under 6 feet of water. So you guys could basically reach over the sides of the trolley and touch water. And so over the years, that little creek caused about 200 deaths from the flooding until they built Knock Chunk Lake, the Army Corps of Engineers, in the early 1970s. Not Joe today, Joe was yesterday. Hello! Right on. So the lake's got, it's got
you have to pay.
lifeguards until about 5 o'clock, bathhouse, showers, first aid, concessions. Ray Street is right here, by the way. So if you take that street, that's also where St. Mark's Church is located. That was Asa Packard's church, and one he gave a lot of money to. It also has original Tiffany windows in it and a birdcage elevator, which is very cool, from 1911, that you can go on if you take the tour. And they're open today. Their last tour goes into 3:30. So, if you had a good time today, you want to give us a shout out on Yelp or TripAdvisor or Google or whatever platform you use. Hope you learned a little something. Hope you were entertained a little bit. Can we give it up for Bingo for getting us back? This is Bingo on behalf of the Jim Thorpe Trolley. Thank you so much for coming with us today. Thank you.